The sun hadn't fully settled over the desert skyline when the first wave of screams broke through the air, and in that moment, it was already clear that this wasn't just another day in Las Vegas. This was something bigger. Something louder. Something that felt almost unreal. Because today, the city wasn't just hosting a celebration, it was surrendering itself to one name, Bruno Mars. People had started lining up long before the official start time. Some had been there since sunrise. Others, since the night before. Tourists, locals, die-hard fans who had flown across continents, all of them drawn to a single stretch of road that was about to become something historic. The energy was already electric, but there was also something deeper beneath it. Anticipation. The kind that makes your chest tighten and your pulse race, because you know you're about to witness something that won't happen twice. And then it happened. The moment the first music echoed down the Las Vegas Strip, the crowd erupted, not in a polite cheer, not in a controlled excitement, but in pure chaos. Phones shot into the air. People climbed onto barriers, onto shoulders, onto anything that could give them a better view. Security lines blurred. The sound of screaming, singing, and disbelief merged into one overwhelming wave that rolled through the streets, because this wasn't just a parade, this was a city rewriting its identity in real time. The road itself, once just another iconic strip in a city known for excess, was being transformed into something permanent. Bruno Mars Drive. A name that would stay long after the music faded, long after the lights dimmed. And for the people standing there, witnessing it firsthand, it felt like being inside a moment that would one day be talked about in documentaries, in interviews, in late-night nostalgia, but no one was thinking about the future right now. It was chaos. As the parade moved forward, every inch of space became valuable. The sidewalks disappeared under waves of people. Tourists who had accidentally stumbled into the event found themselves trapped in a sea of fans who knew every lyric, every beat, every move. Vendors stopped selling. Traffic came to a standstill. Even the usual Vegas distractions, casinos, neon signs, luxury storefronts, felt irrelevant compared to what was happening in the street. And then came the music, not just any music. His music. The opening notes hit, and something shifted instantly. It wasn't just noise anymore. It became emotion. You could see it on faces, people crying, laughing, screaming at the same time. Strangers hugging each other like they had known each other for years. Because in that moment, everyone was connected by one thing. They were all part of this story. A story that didn't start today. It started years ago, when Bruno Mars first stepped onto stages in Las Vegas, not as a global icon yet, but as a performer hungry to prove himself. Back then, the crowds were smaller. The expectations were lower. But the energy? It was always there. The same charisma. The same undeniable pull that made people stop whatever they were doing and pay attention. Over time, that connection between him and the city grew stronger. Show after show. Night after night. Until Las Vegas wasn't just a stop on his journey, it became part of his identity. And today, the city was giving something back. As the parade continued, the scale of it became impossible to ignore. This wasn't just a fan event. This was an official recognition. A statement. Government officials, city leaders, and industry figures were all present, not hidden away, but right there in the middle of the chaos, acknowledging what everyone already knew. Bruno Mars wasn't just an entertainer here. He was a symbol. The moment he finally appeared, the reaction was instant and explosive. It wasn't a gradual build. It was a shockwave. The kind that hits you before you even realize what's happening. People screamed his name over and over again, as if saying it louder would somehow make the moment last longer, and for a second, just a second, you could see it in his expression, that awareness, that realization that this wasn't just another performance. This wasn't just another city. This was something deeply personal. A full-circle moment playing out in front of thousands of witnesses. He waved. He smiled. He took it in, but the crowd? The crowd lost control. Phones shook in trembling hands as people tried to capture footage they would probably never watch properly again, because the memory itself would always be stronger than the video. Some fans were crying uncontrollably. Others stood frozen, unable to process what they were seeing. And some just screamed, over and over, as if that was the only way to release the overwhelming surge of emotion. It wasn't organized anymore. It wasn't predictable. It was raw. Security teams struggled to maintain barriers as the crowd pushed forward, not out of aggression, but out of desperation, to get closer, to feel closer, to be part of something that felt almost too big to grasp. The word crazy didn't even begin to describe it, because crazy implies chaos without meaning. This had meaning. Every cheer, every tear, every outstretched hand, it all came from a place of connection. From years of music that had lived in people's lives, in their happiest moments, in their heartbreaks, in their memories, and now, all of that emotion was pouring out at once. The parade route itself became secondary. It didn't matter where it started or where it ended. What mattered was what was happening in between. The shared experience. The collective realization that this wasn't just about celebrating a name on a street sign, it was about celebrating a journey. A journey that had somehow brought all these people together in one place, at one time, for one unforgettable moment. As the event moved closer to its final stage near the plaza, the atmosphere didn't calm down, it intensified. If anything, it became more emotional. Because people could feel it coming. The end. The moment when the music would fade, when the crowd would slowly disperse, when reality would start creeping back in. But before that happened, there was one last surge point, one last explosion of energy, and it came in the form of a final performance moment that turned the entire area into something that felt less like a city street and more like a massive, open-air concert. Voices rose in unison. Lyrics echoed across buildings. Even people who didn't know the words found themselves caught in the rhythm, clapping, moving, becoming part of the moment whether they planned to or not. For a brief window of time, Las Vegas wasn't about gambling, or luxury, or spectacle. It was about music. It was about connection. It was about Bruno Mars. And then, just like that, it started to fade, not abruptly. Not dramatically. But gradually, like the final notes of a song that linger just long enough to leave an impression. The crowd began to thin. People lowered their phones. Conversations replaced screams. Reality returned, but it felt different now, because everyone who had been there knew something. They had just witnessed something rare, not just a parade, not just a celebration, but a moment where a city and an artist collided in a way that felt almost cinematic. Too perfect. Too intense. Too unforgettable. And as people slowly walked away, you could hear it in their voices. The disbelief. The excitement. The need to tell someone, anyone, what they had just experienced, because moments like this don't stay contained, they spread, through stories. Through videos. Through memories that get replayed over and over again, each time feeling just as powerful as the first. And somewhere, in the middle of all that, one thing became clear: this wasn't just about today, this was about legacy. Because long after the crowd is gone, long after the noise disappears, long after the lights go out, there will still be a street in Las Vegas with a name on it. A name that represents not just success, but impact. Not just fame, but connection. Not just music, but moments like this. Moments where everything feels bigger, louder, and more alive than usual. And for everyone who stood there, who felt that energy, who became part of that chaos, there's one thing they'll never forget: they weren't just watching history, they were inside it.